Hey everybody, this is Matt Orfanello. I'm back. I'm doing my first legacy video. I've already written a couple articles for TheEndStep, but now I'm going to do a video. Testing with my good friend Adam Brennan. He hasn't written anything for the website yet, but hopefully that'll change. Um, so the deck I'm going to play today is a deck that I saw at a recent Star City event. It was piloted by a man named Jeff Circus, and I saw his list and I just really fell in love with it. He didn't top 8. He got, I think it was 11th place. But I think that just had to do with the metagame. This is a Cascade deck. It's similar to Jund, except it plays blue instead of playing like discard spells. We play Brainstorm, which is obviously pretty much the best card in Legacy, especially in combination with fetch lands, of which I have 10. Um, Ponder's really just here game one so that you can get to whichever half of the deck you need for whatever matchup you're in. Um, like if you're facing a combo deck, you really just want to find Jitte so you can interact with them in some way, or you want to get your Abrupt Decays and start destroying their Grim Monoliths, or maybe a Lion's Eye Diamond if they play it at the wrong time. And the way you're gonna get to all these spells is you play 7 mana dorks. I mean, it's tough to call Deathray Shaman just a mana dork because he does so much more. You can see I'm playing 4. This is the correct number of Deathray Shaman. If you're planning on playing him in a deck and you want to play less than 4, maybe change your plans. Because this guy's just a house. He does so much work. He's obviously amazing early game because he helps me ramp out my 3 and 4 drops on turn 2 and 3, which is, breaks the rules of Magic. And he helps you get through the mid game by gaining you life. He can help you get past the hump and gain a little bit of life, get to the end game, and then at the end game you can use his black ability to do direct loss of life to your opponent and seal the deal. Birds of Paradise is in there because this is a 4-color deck and we just really need the fixing. This is probably the worst spell you can ever cascade into in this deck, but you got to pay the cost to be the boss, and you need to ramp into your spells. Tarmogoyf, we only run 3 of them because you don't ever want to cast Tarmogoyf necessarily. You want to cascade into him. You want to do something and Goyf. And with all the mana fixing, you're going to find a Goyf if you need a Goyf. Now that brings us to Shardless Agent and Bloodbraid Elf. These are our 2 Cascade spells. For those of you who don't know, Cascade says whenever you cast this spell, you reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-land spell, or any spell that costs less than the Cascade spell, and you get to cast it for free. So the best interaction in this deck is when you Cascade into Ancestral Visions. Ancestral Visions is a sorcery that normally you have to suspend for 1 mana, wait 4 turns, and then you get to draw 3 cards. Drawing 3 cards for 1 mana is pretty good, I hear. But when you Cascade into it, you don't have to wait for the suspend to go off. It just goes directly onto the stack. It's beautiful. So I play Shardless Agent for 3 mana, and then I Cascade into Ancestral Visions and draw 3 cards. 2/2 for 3 mana plus draw 3 cards. It's pretty ridiculous. Your opponent's not going to be doing anything as broken as that unless they're a combo player. You have the 3 Punishing Fires with 4 Grove of the Burn Willows. This is really good right now. It's a metagame choice because there's a lot of Deathrite Shamans running around. You want to take care of those, but they also handle Stoneforge Mystic, Vendilion Click, Snapcaster Mage, Grim Lavamancer. It can take care of, Shardless Agent or Bloodbraid Elf, or it's really good versus Planeswalkers as well. You can do 2 damage to a Planeswalker. And you need defense versus Planeswalkers in this deck because You can't counter them. You know, if your opponent casts it, it's going to happen. And Punishing Fires really just gives you a little more, that extra reach you need to seal the deal. 4 Abrupt Decays. It's uncounterable, which is huge. Even if it's not the best card in your hand, when a control player thought seizes or duresses you, they generally tend to take Abrupt Decay over anything else because it's uncounterable. They can't do anything about it. And it's just a fine removal card. So that's everything in the that's all the spells. You'll see the lands. We got 10 fetch lands. The deck is base green, so just about every dual land except Underground Sea and Volcanic Island are green in this deck. We also have a Creeping Tar Pit. That's not green, but it is a Planeswalker Slayer. Unblockable. It's pretty beautiful. And we also have a Treetop Village. And now, I was thinking that the Treetop Village could probably be a Raging Ravine because they both come into play tapped. They're both non-basic. They're both weak to Wasteland. But Raging Ravine taps for 2 different colors. But the ability to activate this for only 2 mana lets you free up the rest of your mana to do more broken spells. Like you can cascade into stuff. You're always going to have things to do with your mana because you're constantly reloading your hand. And you really just don't want to invest too much into a 4/4 when you don't want to pay 5 mana for a 4/4 when you could play 2 for a 3/3. And I think that pretty much covers the main deck. Okay, so now we're back. This is the sideboard here. We have 2 Jace the Mind Sculptors. These come in versus your control matchups. And cards you're going to take out. Ponders can come out because the one thing better than a card that finds an answer is an answer itself. So Jace comes in versus control. And versus control, I usually tend to bring in Corrosion Grip because by control, I mean Esper Stoneblade. There's obviously other control decks. Blue-White Miracles tends to play the Energy Field Rest in Peace combo, so this interaction can be very relevant. Swords to Plows. Umezawa's Jit is not necessarily going to come in versus every control deck. I like bringing it in versus Esper Stoneblade because we have more Jits than them. Thoughtseize and Cabal Therapy. That's like basically your combo hate. Thoughtseize, I mean, it's great. You're going to take any card from their hand. And then Cabal Therapy. This card is a little more skill intensive. You have to know what you're worried about. But that's why it's in the sideboard. So game 2, you should have a good idea of what you're worried about. And since we play so many creatures, sometimes towards the end of the game, Birds of Paradise can become really redundant, but sacrificing it to flashback a Cabal Therapy can be a game-winning play. And then it brings us over to Engineered Plague. This is versus goblins, elves, merfolk. Even against like mono white decks, you can just name like humans sometimes, because that hits Thalia, Mother of Runes, Mangara of Karandor, Jotun Grunt, although you're probably not going to play enough plagues to kill a grunt, but you still get shrunk. Versus blue-white, if you really want to bring these in, you can name wizards, and that'll hit their Snapcaster Mages, Dark Confident, Vendilion Click. It also, Grim Lavamancer's a wizard. There's so many wizards. This card's the utility of this card's actually pretty big. So the matchup you're going to sideboard the most is your combo matchup, obviously. That's your worst matchup. So you're going to bring in all 8 pieces of discard, and then if you're playing against like actual Storm combo, you can bring in maybe 1 Engineered Plague if you think they're going to use Empty the Warrens. This kind of like blanks Empty the Warrens. You just name goblins. There's even a goblin on the picture. Should be pretty self-explanatory. And yeah, that's basically the sideboard. Against combo, you're going to take out your punishing fires come out first, and then you can take out some number of abrupt decay. You can take out ponder. Um, yeah, because like I said, with ponder, that's sort of like your weakest card draw spell, and you'd rather just have an answer in hand already than try to search for an answer. Yeah, so that's basically the sideboard, and hopefully this testing goes well.